Okay, everybody, let's dive in. Again, thank you all for joining us today for our Lex Workplace live walkthrough. A couple of housekeeping notes, or really one housekeeping note. You will notice, if you haven't used Zoom before, a chat window somewhere in your Zoom window, and you can use that to ask questions as we go through our talk today. And I'm going to try to answer as many questions as I can at the end, but you don't have to wait till the end. If I say something, if I demonstrate something, and if it prompts a question, please jot it down, enter it into the chat window while it's top of mind. And again, I'll work to get through as many questions at the end as I can. So I'll start with a very quick introduction, just in case you don't know who we are, or if you'd like a refresher. We are, of course, Uptime Legal Systems. We are a leading legal technology company. We provide cloud, software, and marketing to law firms. We do that for hundreds of law firms and over 5,000 legal professionals in North America. Our headquarters is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we also have offices in Austin, Texas, and Calgary, Canada. And we have been on the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing private companies in America for the past 8 consecutive years, which we're really proud of. Who I am, brief intro. I'm Dennis Dimka. I'm the founder and CEO of Uptime Legal Systems, and I'm the product manager for Lex Workplace. So my job here, for context, broadly, I advise law firms on the subject of legal technology. And within that, I spend a lot of time to design and steer the Lex Workplace product. So that's the background from which I'll be demonstrating Lex Workplace. And how I do that is I spend as much time as I can talking with law firms, understanding their challenges, and then I'll work to really evolve and shape Lex Workplace to solve those problems. So here's the agenda. Really simple. I'll spend, number one, just a couple of minutes on the signs that your firm would benefit from a document management system. In other words, who should consider a DMS and when? And then, of course, the main event, I'll walk through Lex Workplace itself, and I'll talk about how Lex Workplace solves some of those challenges. And again, as promised, I'll do some Q&A at the end. So let's get started. So let's talk about the signs your law firm needs a DMS, a document management system. Again, I work with and have worked with many law firms over the years. And over the years, I've definitely seen some recurring themes in terms of a law firm that would really benefit from a DMS. So here they are. Here's 6 signs. They're not the only 6, but there's certainly 6 recurring themes I see a lot. Your law firm probably needs a DMS when, number 1, the documents for your firm become scattered, unorganized, or inconsistently organized. And what that looks like in the real world is things are all over the place, documents and files are all over the place, and everyone in your firm has a different convention for naming documents and for maybe organizing a matter file, maybe organizing folders or subfolders in a matter file. And everything's just very inconsistent. That's number 1. Number 2, sign number 2, is if you frequently struggle to find the document you're looking for, or maybe the email you're looking for. Search in Windows and search in some of your basic cloud storage tools like your Dropbox and your OneDrive and your Google Drive. Search isn't very good in any of those. A lot of times you can search only for files by name rather than the content of a document. So if that happens a lot, you probably need a DMS. Sign number 3 that you could use a DMS is that you stuff metadata into the name of a document. And here's what I mean. If you've ever named a file, or if you've ever seen a document in your law firm named something like this, client-matter-document type status dash some description dot docx, or so that's something like that. That's what I'm talking about. That all of those elements that I just described in my example are what we call metadata, which I'll touch on in a little bit. But trying to cram all of that into the name of a document is what we see a lot of law firms do. And it leads to a whole host of problems. It leads to very long file names, obviously, which are unwieldy, difficult to know what you're looking at, things that get very messy. It's just not a good way to do things, and there's definitely a better way. Sign number 4, you probably need a DMS when emails in your firm are not centrally stored or accessible to your entire team. So what I see real world in law firms that don't have a proper DMS is emails are really self-managed by each individual person in the firm. And they'll typically set up, say, Outlook folders. And maybe the individual people are pretty organized, right? They have a folder in their Outlook per client or per matter, and they take the time to sort and organize emails, which is better than nothing, but it's still very decentralized, right? Your Outlook folders are really only accessible easily to you, which isn't very helpful for the rest of your firm. Number 5, you need to increase your data security and compliance. So if you're using an on-premise file server, right, like the G drive or the S drive or something like that, or if you're using your basic cloud storage, your Dropbox, etc., those aren't particularly secure, and they definitely don't meet, including on-premise file servers, most compliance requirements. And finally, number 6, you probably need a DMS when you've outgrown either basic cloud storage, again, your Dropboxes, your OneDrives, or you've outgrown the storage built into your practice management software. So I'll touch on that for just a second. Most cloud-based practice management apps or case management apps have some kind of built-in storage where you can save documents or files, maybe to a matter or to a client. And that includes some really, really great practice management products that are out there. Unfortunately, sometimes that gets referred to as quote unquote document management, when I would really describe it as closer to like a built-in Dropbox. And if you're a very, very small firm, and if that's all you need is the ability to drop a document into a matter and that's really it and open it later, that's potentially sufficient. But we see a lot of law firms that start there and then they need to graduate beyond it. In other words, they need to, unbeknownst to them sometimes, they need to really complement their practice management software with a true document management solution. So those are 6 of the signs that you would benefit from a DMS. And I think it's fair to say the more of those that apply to you, the more benefit you would get from implementing document management software like Lex Workplace. So that said, let's dive into the star of our show. So here is Lex Workplace. This is our cloud-based document and email management software for law firms. So the first thing you'll notice is that it is cloud-based, right? I'm running it in a web browser. By being cloud-based, of course, that means no server to maintain or update or install, and generally no IT headaches. Lex Workplace works 100% on both Windows and Mac. And on the Mac side, it works natively with Mac OS, meaning you can literally run this right on your Mac without needing to run parallels, without needing to dual boot your Mac. There's no asterisk to that statement. You can run this straight in your Mac in Safari. So let's talk about the basics here. So you'll find your navigation left. You've got home, which is where we are now, clients, matters, firm documents, search, sharing, and some other items as well. And the structure of Lex Workplace is very client and matters centric. So we've got clients and we've got matters. So let's go into clients. And this is of course a sample database, but this is my client list. This is all of my clients and some basic information about clients right here in the system. Now, let's open this client, XYZ Corp. Now, in Lex Workplace, a client is really just a container for matters. So this is not meant to be a contact database. Again, a client is really a container for matters so that all the matters for a particular client are together. So in this example, client XYZ Corp has these 3 matters. So that's clients. I can also go into matters here and just simply see all matters for all clients. By default, it's showing me my open matters. I can also say, show me all matters, or show me just closed matters, or show me my matters. And right off the bat, this is an advantage over basic folders. If you're using a basic folder structure for your matters and you just have a matter per client a folder per client or a folder per matter, you can't really, there's no concept of open, closed, or my, nor can you have this additional information that you see here for each matter. So a client is a container for matters, and a matter in Lex Workplace is a container for documents and data. So let's make a new matter. I click new matter here, and the only thing I have to give this matter is a name. So let's call this new matter, and I could hit create matter right now and start adding documents, email, and other things to this matter immediately. Very little friction. But I can optionally also give a matter some additional information. I can give it custom matter ID if I have an internal matter numbering system. Of course, I can assign this matter to a particular client, and I can give the matter a type. This is a customizable dropdown. You are meant to customize this for the matter types that are applicable to your firm. And I can give the matter some other information like office or branch. I can assign the matter to 1 or more people in my firm. Doing that is what makes the matter show up in the My Matters view. And I can give the matter tags, which are essentially additional labels you can use to classify, filter, and sort different matters. I'll talk about tags a little bit more shortly. So that's it. Again, all of that other than name is optional. You can use as much or as little of that as you like. But I canceled out of there because I want to go into an existing matter that already has some data in it. So let's go into this matter, XYZ entity formation. So now I'm in this matter. This is the matter screen. This is certainly one of the main screens in Lex Workplace. And here's the layout. What you have is that summary information at the top. So these are all of the fields you just saw me populate when I was creating a matter. And then the data or the content below, organized into these tabs. If I want, I can collapse that header to give myself more room down here. I like to describe this header as almost like a cover page for this matter. So in Lex Workplace, a matter, I like to describe it as something like a virtual file cabinet that can hold 3 kinds of information: documents, email, and notes. I will also talk about the sharing tab in a little bit. So let's start with documents. And I'll start with the basics. So within a matter, within the documents tab, from here it looks, I think, pretty familiar. If you've used any file system at all, including just Windows file system, it should look pretty familiar. I can put documents right here. I can create subfolders. And let's go into this folder, the contracts folder. I can have subfolders under that. As you can see, I've got a mix of files and folders. I can go into this subfolder, and I can continue to make as many subfolders as I like. So this is where you can be very flexible, and you can structure the matter based on what makes sense for your firm or for this matter. And Lex Workplace always makes it very easy to know where you are. So right now I'm, of course, in this matter. And then here is my breadcrumbs, as we call it. Within this matter, I'm in the Documents tab, the Contract subfolder, and this subfolder under that. Let's talk about how to get documents into the system. So I'm in this matter, and suppose I want to put a document, let's say I want to put a new document in this contracts folder. So I navigate to the contracts folder, and there's a few different ways you can do that. So suppose this document here that you see on my desktop, suppose I got this from some external source, maybe by email, maybe by some other means, and I just want to add it to this matter, specifically into this folder. I just drag it and drop it. And now that document is in this folder in this matter. I can also click upload file if I'd like to upload a document that way. So that's how you get documents into the system. If you want to open or edit a document, you simply click on it. So I'll click on this one, and when you do that, it's going to open that document in whatever application is associated with that. So Word, Excel, Adobe, etc. So here's that document. I just opened it, this ABC document. Make a change. If I want to make a change or an edit, I just do that, and then I hit save and close out. And it automatically saves it back to Lex Workplace, which is a small but important detail because in some web-based file storage systems, when you click a document, it really just downloads it. And if you edit it, you're editing only the local version. And if you want to save it back to the system, you must manually re-upload it. Not in Lex Workplace. When you open a document of any kind, make a change and close out, it saves it back automatically to the system. So that's how you add existing documents to the system and how you open a document. I will also show how to make a new document. So suppose you want to make a new Word document from scratch. Let's go back into our contracts folder. Say I want to make a new contract, again, from scratch. You'll have this blue bar is always there, no matter where you are in Lex Workplace. You'll always see these drop downs, and you'll see this one, new. And under new, I could make from anywhere a new client or a new matter or a new document. So let's say I want to make a new Word document, and we'll call this new contract ABC. And by clicking this, it's going to create and open this document all in one click in the location where you are. And that is opposed to, say, opening Word, making a Word doc, saving it to your desktop, then dragging and dropping it where you want to go. So we make it much easier to do. And I'll just save and close out. Now you've seen me open a document, which of course is useful if you want to see the entire original document, but sometimes you might just want to glance at a document. So to do that, and I'll go into this folder to demonstrate this, Lex Workplace also includes what we call full text preview. So if you just want to glance at a document, as you mouse over, you'll see this eye icon. If I click on this, what that's going to do is open this full text preview. So by full text, I mean, number one, it is the entire document. As you can see, this probably has a couple of pages worth of text, and I can scroll down and I can see everything. Now it is text only, so it deliberately doesn't show images, formatting, markup, things like that, but it does give you a quick view at a document. And because it's text, you can select, copy and paste things. So that's really, really handy if you want to grab a quick email address or a phone number or a file number or things like that. You can copy and paste it right from here without having to open the document. I'll do one more here. Here's another document preview. That one is a relatively new feature that we added not too long ago. We're always adding new functionality to the system. Another feature that people really like is recent and favorite documents. So I can, if I hover over any document or folder, I can click this star icon. So let's do this one, proposed contract A. Let's say this is a document I'm going to be in or need to reference a lot. I can simply click the star and mark it as a favorite. I can do the same for folders as well. And then you'll see that under your favorites. And again, this top blue bar is everywhere in Lex Workplace. No matter where you are, this will be here. So this is a really useful way to keep certain documents that you need to reference or that you're going to be working on a lot, or entire folders available at just a click. Similarly, Lex Workplace also remembers your most recent documents that you've edited. So this is the last, I think, 25 or so documents that you've edited, available at a click. One other thing I'll mention, this tab is called the Documents tab, but that's almost something of a misnomer. We say documents, but really you can store any kind or almost any kind of computer file here in the system. So that could be documents, but it could also be videos, could also be audio files, images, almost any kind of file, but we just say documents. So that's really the basics of managing files in the system, the basics. So these are things that kind of any system could do. So next I'll talk about some of the more advanced DMS tools, really what makes Lex Workplace a proper document management system. So let's start with document properties. So let's take a look at this document here, abcdocument.docx. Of course, I can click on it to open it, but I can also click this three-dot menu and I can go to properties. So this is the properties screen for this one document. And every document has one of these. And what you're looking at is metadata on the left and version history on the right. And I'll cover both. So metadata, which I touched on earlier, is information about the document, but that does not live in the document. And metadata is used primarily for classification and organizing information. So in Lex Workplace, this is the metadata. Of course, you've got the file name itself, abcdocument.docx, but you can also give a document a type. So for instance, you could say this document is a motion, or this is an agreement, or this is an order. And this dropdown is also customizable. In fact, it's meant to be customized by you so that you can define the types of document that are relevant in your firm and then apply those to documents as they're created or uploaded. Another field is document status. This too is customizable and really meant to be customized by you. Your statuses might just be as simple as draft and final. Or I've seen customers map out if most documents they produce has, say, 5 steps that every document needs to go through, like original draft, internal review, client review, things like that. You can map out each one of those steps here in this dropdown and then define where in that process is a document. And finally, you've got document tags. So document tags are just custom labels that you can create, and then you can apply one or more of those labels to a document. So tags are really meant to be an additional dimension of categorization if you need something in addition to type and status. So really common examples that I like to show are filed with court, or discovery, or confidential. Or I can make a new tag right on the fly if I'm so inclined. Make one called demonstration. And just like that, I've created and added a tag to it, to this document. Internal notes are just that. So if you want to enter notes about a document, but again, that are not in the document, you can do that here. Any notes you enter here are only accessible to your firm, and then even only accessible to those members of your firm that have access to this matter, which you can define. That's really useful, simple, but useful, because the alternative that we've seen in practice is people will enter notes in the notes section of like a Word document in the Word document, which of course the problem with that is if you send that to an outside party, say a client or another attorney, unless you manually remove them or scrub that metadata, all of that information is available and viewable by other parties. So this is a great way to enter notes that only you guys, your firm, can see. So that's metadata. What's the purpose, right? What's the utility of that? Well, the utility, why somebody would bother doing that. And by the way, I should add this, all of that is optional. Some document management systems, other software I've seen, forces you to fill out these fields or similar kinds of fields every document you save every single time, right? What we've seen in real world is not all documents need that. Some documents are simple little documents or notes that it's just not worth it, right? But why would you bother? Why would you add that metadata? And I think the utility is really threefold. One, the benefit of profiling, as we call it, or filling out metadata for a document is when you do that, information about the document is viewable at a glance. So I can see at a glance that this document has these tags, it's a court order, and the status is final. So that's one utility. Another utility in doing that is in Lex Workplace, you can filter and sort by any of these columns. So in this matter, you can see, I don't have too many documents, but suppose there were dozens or maybe even hundreds of documents in this folder. I can say, okay, just for a minute, I just want to see documents that have been filed with court. So in these column headers, as you just saw me do, you can type something to filter by on the fly. So when I type filed, it's now just showing me only documents that have been filed with court. Or I can say, just show me all contracts. Oops, contract. And there are the two documents with that type. And again, you can do that with any one of these columns. So filtering and sorting is one of the reasons why profiling documents is useful. The third utility for profiling documents is search, which I'll show in a little bit. But let's go back into our document properties for this document again. So that's what's on the left. Of course, on the right, we have version history. And here's how it works. It's very simple. Every time when you first create or upload a document in Lex Workplace, that's always V1, version 1. Every single time a document is edited or changed, the system automatically makes a new version and retains old versions behind the scenes. When I click on a document from the previous screen, I'm always opening and working with the most recent version, but you can always see earlier versions here. So in this case, this document after being created has been edited 6 times. So for each version, you can click to view a copy of that version. What did this document look like at that time? And you can also see kind of a chain of custody for each version, when that version was created and by who. And this version here was the one you saw me edit just a few minutes ago. You can also add what are called version comments. So suppose I just made some changes to this document. This was V7, and maybe I want to make a note to myself or to the rest of my team of what changes I made, what I did. I can add a version comment. So I might say added paragraph 4.3. And now that version comments, and it's meant to be just a short one-line note. Now that version comment is there and visible for the rest of my team. So again, that's optional, but it's useful to do that, particularly for those edits that are really material, right? A really significant change. You can describe that milestone here. Finally, on versioning. Again, Lex Workplace does this automatically as documents are edited, but sometimes you might say you're working on a contract. Let's say this contract right here, and I'm ready to send it to maybe opposing counsel, and I'll say, okay, opposing counsel, here is my proposed contract. Let me know what you think, or show me your proposed edits. So maybe they take it and they make some red lines, they make some proposed changes, and they send it back to me. Well, even though I may not accept all of their changes, I probably want to save a copy of their red line as a new version. So what I can do is I can click upload new version. And let's just say this is the document they sent me. I can upload that as a new version. So now the version from them or from this outside source is now version 8. And if I want to be really well documented, I can add another comment. edits from opposing counsel, for instance. So that's versioning. Profiling and versioning are some of the more quote unquote advanced tools. Again, what makes a DMS a DMS. Another one is check in, check out. So here's how check in, check out works. If I open this document and I just have it open, it is automatically locked from other users, meaning other users will, in my firm, will see that I have it open. They can download a copy, but they can't make any changes. And that's on purpose. That's to avoid people overwriting each other's changes. However, suppose I'm going to be working on this document here, ABC document. Say this is a contract I'm drafting, and I'm going to be carefully crafting this thing over the next few weeks. And I don't want anybody changing it, but I'm not going to have it open all the time for the next 2 weeks straight. So what I can do is I can click my three-dot menu here and I can check it out or lock it. So when I do that, you'll see this little blue icon here on the right. That means it is checked out. This is just like having it open. It locks it just as if I had it open without actually having to have it open. So I can check it out. I can turn off my computer and I can go away for a week and it's locked as if it were open. And other users can see that I have it open. So they can ask me to check it back in if they want to. And anyone in your firm who is what we call a firm administrator can override that, right? So if somebody checks a document out and goes on vacation for a month, somebody has the ability to check it back in manually. But in my example, I've locked this or I've checked it out. Say I'm finally done, fast forward 2 weeks, I'm ready to check it back into the system. I can click my three-dot menu again and check it in. And now other users can not only open it, but they can edit it. So that's managing documents, and that's the document tab. So every matter has this document tab and has a structure that you can create that looks like this. And every matter also has an email tab. So in Lex Workplace, you can save emails to a matter much the same way you do documents, but it's on its own tab. So when you save an email to Lex Workplace, it shows up here. And let me show you how that happens. So I'm going to pull over my actual Outlook. So here's my Outlook. Lex Workplace has an Outlook add-in, and here's how it works. If I click on an email, and if I want to add it to a matter, I just highlight or click the email, and then I click this new button that'll show up in your Outlook ribbon called Add to Lex Workplace. And when you do that, it will by default show you your matters. So here are those same matters you just saw in my matter list before. I can search for a specific matter if I want. So let's go into our XYZ entity formation. If I click on this matter, it will show me the folders for that matter. So these are the folders on the email tab. Documents has its own folders and email has its own folders. So I could hit save here and I could put it right here at the top, or I could drill into a particular subfolder. So let's go into initial conversations. And it will show you right in here the other emails that are already here, which is a nice way to know that you're in the right place. And then I just hit save here. And it is automatically saving this email to this location in this matter. So if we go to initial conversations, there it is, sample email. So when you do that, Lex Workplace does deduplicate emails. And what that means is if two users try to save the exact same email to the system, it will only save it once, which cuts down on clutter. And it does that, it checks for duplicates, not by the subject of the email, but by the content. It does it via what we call a checksum, which is like a bit and byte level comparison. Is this a duplicate or not? So once an email is saved to Lex Workplace in that way, I can do a few things. Number one, you'll notice our column filters, our column headings here where I can filter and sort. So there's not that many emails in this system, but or in this particular matter, but suppose there were, I can again filter and sort by any of these columns. So I can say, okay, there's a lot of email here. Just for a minute, just show me emails that were from Dennis. And again, as you can see, it's filtering on the fly. Or just show me emails that were sent to Paula. You can also create as many subfolders as you like. So in this example, after the matter was created, I pre-created these folders. And you can organize your matter emails however you like. But in this case, I've got email from opposing party, initial conversations, so on and so forth. If I want, I can move or copy emails around from one place to another. So if I want to stay organized, maybe I want to take these two emails and actions. Under the actions menu for documents and emails, I can cut, copy, and paste. So let's copy these. Let's go into our sample folder and let's paste. So just like you might drag and drop emails around within your Outlook to keep things organized, you can do the same in Lex Workplace. The last thing I think I'll show on emails is preview. So just like documents, well, actually, let me take a step back and show what opening an email looks like. If I click on this email, what it's going to do is it's going to actually open this email in Outlook. So here is this email. I just opened it up from Lex Workplace. So it opens it with Outlook, but it doesn't live in Outlook. It lives in Lex Workplace. It lives in this matter, but it uses Outlook to open the email so that you can see what that email looked like in its original form. And it does save the email in its full original form. So that includes text, formatting, images, and attachments. This is the original email. And because it opens it in Outlook, I can do Outlook things. I open this up from Lex Workplace, and let's just say this was an email from a month ago, for instance. I can reply right from Outlook. I can forward it right from Outlook. So again, Lex Workplace saves the full original email. But suppose I just want to glance at an email. Email also has full text preview. So rather than, let's take this email here, rather than opening it in its entirety, again, I can just click the eye icon and it will show me a text-only preview, including the from, the to, and the date, as well as the text or the body of that email. And again, this is all selectable. So if you just want to copy a file number or a phone number, or again, an email address, you can do that very easily here. So not only does email management in Lex Workplace provide tools beyond what Outlook itself does, I think more importantly, it keeps everything together. So now zooming out, big picture, all emails related to the XYZ entity matter is now in the system, accessible to my entire team or accessible to everyone in my firm who has access to this matter right alongside documents. Everything's together. Oh, one more thing I want to show an email really quick. You can also add an email short note. So let's go into here. I want to find a folder with lots of stuff in it. Okay, so say you've got a folder that looks like this or a matter that looks like this, and you have a lot of emails. And let's just say you have a lot of emails with the same subject, because perhaps you've saved a bunch from the same thread. What you can do to call out or almost like pin an email is you can click the three-dot menu and you can add what we call a short note. A short note is exactly that. It's meant to be a one-line text where you can say, hey, this is the one with the attachment, or this is the original email, important contents, whatever. You can add a note like this. And when you do that, it shows up here. Really simple, but useful way out a particular email. So we've talked about documents, we've talked about email. I'll briefly touch on notes. So notes are just that. These notes are plain text notes that you can create and save in the matter. And that's meant to be a tool you can use where you want to keep notes, maybe meeting notes, maybe intake notes relating to this matter. As opposed to handwritten notes, as opposed to, I've seen some firms keep notes in a Word document and then stick it in the matter. And the nice thing about notes is it too can be organized by or with folders. And every note that is created can be, or is, I should say, date and time stamped, and it shows who made it. Use cases for notes. And not everybody uses it, but use cases are things like meeting notes, again, intake notes, maybe legal research notes. And we even have, I've seen some customers make essentially a call log or a communication log where their internal policy is to make a note for each phone call or each communication they've had with a client. If you already use Evernote or OneNote or some other note-taking app, you can certainly continue to use that. But some firms really like the ability to create and maintain notes in the matter. Okay, let's talk briefly about sharing. With Lex Workplace, you can share documents with outside parties. And here's how that works. Suppose I want to send this document and everything in this folder to some outside party, maybe to my client. I select them here, and then under the Actions menu, I click Send, in this case, 3 items. So here I can say who I want it to go to, send it to myself, and you can send a little message along with it. So you might say, "Hi, John. Here are the documents we discussed." And then I hit send. And what Lex Workplace is doing now is it's zipping up all of these files. And remember that evidence folder could have 10 subfolders, each with 20 documents and more subfolders beyond that. It could have a bunch of stuff. So it's zipping all of this into one zip file and sending a secure link to that recipient. So the recipient's going to get an email and it'll say, person, you from the name of your firm has shared these documents with you, and click here to view them. So when they click that secure link, I'll show you what that looks like. So from the perspective of the recipient, which again, maybe that's your customer, they'll click a link and they'll get something that looks like this. It'll say firm name here, the name of your firm, and then it'll say whoever has shared the following documents with you. Here's a summary or a list of what they are, along with the message. And they'll click here to download the file, the zip file. One notable feature of that zip file is the zip file does maintain the folder structure. So in this example, I sent these 2 documents plus this folder. This subfolder has a subfolder within it. There could be more under that. The zip will retain that folder structure, which is really, really nice if you're sending a lot of stuff and if that stuff is well organized into folders. Now, once I've shared something, again, they're going to get that email with a link, the recipient is, and that link is valid for 7 days. After 7 days, it expires for security reasons. And when you do that, you can go to the Sharing tab. And the Sharing tab shows everything you have sent or shared. So this is something of a log of who shared what, who sent what when, and to who. So for instance, right now I'm showing active shares, meaning these are shares that were sent in the last or within the last 7 days that have not expired yet. And of course, I'll see who sent it, who were the recipients, and there can be multiple, when, and what was sent, 18 documents. And the status, active meaning it is not yet expired, and when does it expire? And this skinny column here in the far right, downloaded. You will see a check mark here if the recipient has downloaded it. So it's a nice way to see if somebody has accessed it yet. Now, in this case, it says here that I've sent 18 documents. If I want to see more detail, I can click on that. And this is what we call the share detail screen. This shows you some of the same information: sender, when it was sent, when it expires, is it active. If you want to see a copy of that download link, you can see it here. Which matter was it for? Has recipient downloaded yet? Yes or no? And if yes, it'll show the date and time, the files, and the recipients. So this is, again, the detail of this one share that I sent. A couple of notes. I can revoke this share, right? If I sent it by mistake, if I sent it to the wrong person, or if I included something I didn't mean to, I can immediately revoke it, which makes the link not work. Or if the recipient says, hey, Dennis, I don't think I got that email. Can you resend it? I can click this. It will reshare it. It will resend the email, and it'll restart that 7-day timer. This is far better than simply sharing documents, say with your client or with some outside party, via email attachment for a lot of reasons. But here are just a few. Number one, with Lex Workplace, you can send any number and any size of file. There's no size restrictions, whereas, as we all know, email always has a size restriction, usually around the 20 meg mark. Two, as I mentioned, the zip itself retains that folder structure. And three, everything here is encrypted, right? The data that's stored in Lex Workplace is encrypted, and nothing's actually in the email. Whereas documents you attach to an email, if you just send a Word doc as an email attachment, that is not encrypted. Email is inherently unencrypted. And you can see another benefit of using this versus regular email is you can see when the recipient downloaded it, and you can revoke, right? You can undo a share if you need to. So again, within a matter, to recap, we've got our documents, email and notes tab, and our sharing tab. Our sharing tab, again, is a log of what was shared. This is what was shared for this matter. You can also go here under sharing and see global sharing. So this is that same thing. It's a log of what was shared, but for all matters. Okay. The last thing I'm going to cover for the next few minutes is search. So if I go to search, it will bring me to Lex Workplace search. And here's how it works. The only thing you have to do in a search is type a search term. So I'm going to do a search for the word test because I know it's in here. And when I do that, it's going to show me the results here on the right. It's telling me that in my Lex Workplace database, across all documents, all email, and all notes, it found 347 documents, 27 emails. And it'll show me a summary of which matters it found that phrase in. And then here are my results here. For each result, it'll show you, of course, the name of the doc and the type, as well as the metadata. So you can see right from here, the type, the status, any tags that were applied, and the location, right? It's this matter. It found this particular document in this matter, documents tab, these subfolders all the way down here, and I can click to jump to any one of these locations. So that was a very broad search, obviously. And 347 documents, that's not very useful. So you can refine or be more precise with your search. And here's how that works. By default, it searches everything, but you can say just search documents, meaning not emails, or maybe just search emails. And I can rerun my search. And now here's that same search with only emails. You can also order by a few different things. By default, it will order by last modified date, newest first, meaning of all the results, newest stuff will be at the top. But you can also do the reverse, or you can order by what we call relevance. Relevance is a few factors, including how many times that search term shows up in the document or the email. Or I can simply search within one or more matters. I might say, I'm pretty sure that what I'm looking for is either in this matter or this matter, and I can run or rerun my search, and again, just filter to those matters. Or I can search by document type, status, or tags. So when I was talking about metadata and profiling documents, I described one of the features or one of the reasons you would do that is search. So I can say, search everything for the word test, but just show me medical records. And there's my results. Now it's searching anything with the word test, but only documents that have been set to or classified as a medical record. Again, I can do the same for status and tags. I can also search or refine my search by modified by users in my firm, modified in a certain date range, or locked by. Remember, I said a document is locked when it's in use, or if somebody has it checked out, you can run a search for locked by, which is either of those two. So that is search, and it's worth mentioning, again, that Lex Workplace searches the content of everything. So every page of every document, all the text in every email, all of the data in the attachments of every email. This is literally Google search for your law firm, for your internal data. Now, you saw me do this search stuff by going into search. If I didn't want to do that, I can also run a search right from here. This is what we call our global search bar. So I could do the same exact search. I just type test in there. Another nifty little tool of this global search bar is you can perform a search, but there's also some other things you can do. So let's just say I want to do a search for XYZ. I can do a search all Lex Workplace for XYZ that'll run a search just like you saw me do, but the system has also noticed there are 2 matters and 1 client with the phrase XYZ in it. So let's just say I wanted to just simply go to the XYZ entity formation matter. It's showing up here, so I can click this, go to matter. And that's just an additional way to really quickly jump to a matter or jump to a client. Okay, that about does us. So that's certainly not everything in Lex Workplace, but it's fair to say those are some of the highlights. So if you guys would like to learn more, I certainly encourage you to reach out. We're happy to do one-on-one demonstrations and dive deeper into any of those features that are most important to you. Or if you want to talk about your current document management system or your current file system and how that would work or how that would translate to Lex Workplace, happy to talk about that too. You can get in touch with us directly in a couple of ways. You can email me directly. My email address is dennis.dimka@uptimelegal.com. Or if you just want to learn more on your own, you can go to our website, of course, which is LexWorkplace.com. All right, we have time for just a little bit of Q&A. So let me skim some email or some Q&As here, and I'll pick out a few good ones. So Catherine asked, can you create a new document within the system? Yes, and Catherine, perhaps you asked that before I showed it, but just as a recap, yes. You can click that new menu at the top, as long as you're in a location where documents can be created, namely in a matter, yes, you can do that. Okay. Amanda asks, who migrates the data? It's a really good question. So I think the question pertains to if you're going to be a new customer, a new user of Lex Workplace, who migrates the data? And the answer is we do, right? So we have an in-house team that plans, coordinates, and executes the data conversion from whatever you're coming from into Lex Workplace. Does Lex Workplace integrate with any practice management software? Yes, today Lex Workplace integrates with Clio Manage, and we definitely plan to integrate with more applications over time. And that's really going to be driven by market share and demand. but that's certainly on our radar, yes. Okay, next question. Can you limit access to data? Yeah, I think this question is referring to permissions, and the answer is yes. I didn't show it for time reasons, time constraints, but the way permissions works in Lex Workplace is when you create a matter, by default, every matter is open to everyone within your firm, but you can restrict access to any matter to specific people or specific groups of people. It's a good question. What does Lex Workplace cost? Pricing for Lex Workplace is right on our website. You can go to lexworkplace.com and then click on the pricing at the very top. But I'll tell you now, the base plan for Lex Workplace is $395 a month, which includes a 3-user base plan and a terabyte of storage, which for the vast majority of our clients is adequate. And you can add more users or more storage beyond that. Okay, that does us, everyone. Again, I really want to thank you all for taking time today to take a look at Lex Workplace. Again, if you want to learn more, you can go to lexworkplace.com or reach out to us. We're happy to do a one-on-one demonstration. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.